Allyson, Carson. Currently, I'm the membership director for Leadership Oklahoma. Got a phone call from a lady, and she was really upset, and she was calling because she had a victim protective order out against, and they were saying how she was going to have to come, they were going to have to take her out of the correctional system to come, and it was this huge ordeal, and she was all worried about it. And it really didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I'm like, well, why would you have a protective order out against this? I pull her up on DOC like everybody else does, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not getting a full picture here because it shows that she's sentenced to forging a prescription. So, part of my job is to continue to peel back those layers and ask questions and figure out exactly what's going on. And so, I continue to talk to her, and I'm like, well, what happened? And, well, this is my daughter-in-law, my ex-daughter-in-law, and I'm thinking, okay, well, good grief, what happened there? So anyway, long story short, her daughter-in-law, they had a son, and she would inject him with drugs and other things to be able to take him to the emergency room. So then she could steal prescription pads and get prescriptions so she could take them. She was very good at presenting herself well too, and worked in doctor's offices at a certain point, was able to get prescription pads and forge prescriptions and do all of this. The lady that was incarcerated was going to essentially take the son to another location and not let the family have any access to him and all this kind of stuff. And so, but it still wasn't making any sense to me, and I'm like, well, it shows that she's got forging a prescription as, well, what happened? And she said, well, that's because the assistant DA didn't think that he could win the case, and so he reduced it to forging a prescription. But what she did was she took my prescription bottle and she dumped them, and she put other prescriptions in there to try to kill me. Luckily, when I opened up the bottle, I could tell that they were not my prescription, and so I was like, okay, well, that's a completely different look on what this is. And that happens a lot in a lot of cases. Majority of these cases that get tried, most of them aren't going to really reflect all of the history, of what happened.